Hi, this is Kevin, and for my community partner assignment, I worked with the Ottawa County Parks of Ottawa County, Michigan. Ottawa County is home to about 300,000 people. It is located on the eastern shore of Lake Michigan. The Ottawa County Park System contains over 40 parks, 7,400 acres of land, and more than 150 miles of trails. Most of the parks are located near Lake Michigan or along the Grand River, which runs across most of the county. Taking care of all of this requires a large staff and many hours of volunteer work. To gather information for this project, I interviewed George Jaeger, one of the outdoor education program leads, with help from Mindy Stanton. The Ottawa County Parks Administration is housed within the county's office headquarters, but the staff members who serve the public all work out of the Hemlock Crossing Nature Center, which is located at one of the most popular parks and is the destination for class field trips, summer camps, and other events for kids. In my role as an adult librarian, I have worked with George and other park staff on adult programs, but I was not familiar with what they had to offer for children, or how libraries in general can partner with their local parks to provide programs or activities for kids, which is why I decided to partner with them for this project. I was not able to find any kind of mission statement for the Ottawa County Parks online, and George indicated that they didn't really have one, as their existence and goals are defined by state statutes. Informally, George told me that their purpose is to get as many people into the parks as possible. I contrast that here with the mission statement of the library where I work, which is expanding horizons, enriching minds, and engaging community. After interviewing George and seeing what the two organizations have to offer, I can see why they complement each other. The parks use nature and education as a way to bring people into the parks, while the library uses parks as a way to help people educate themselves and learn about their community. It's really two sides of the same coin, and I think it explains why the organizations can work together so well. When I visited Hemlock Crossing in February, it was 20 degrees outside on a dark and gloomy day with a foot of snow and ice on the ground. Unsurprisingly, the parks don't offer too many programs outside during this time of year, especially for children. It's a lot more interesting and enjoyable when it gets warmer out. See, doesn't this look a lot better? The climate in western Michigan is really only conducive to outside events between May and October. One of the ideas that George stressed with me is that when you're creating lesson plans for children, it really helps to hold activities outside when these natural events are actually occurring. For example, if you're teaching kids about bird migrations, it's best to do that in the spring or fall. That way the kids can take what they've learned and watch for those birds where they live. This is beneficial on two levels. First, it reinforces lessons and helps kids remember what they have learned. But perhaps more importantly, it helps children connect with nature in their own community, to understand the environment they interact with every day. As George pointed out, you can find books or other materials about your region or even your state, but only people in your community will have the tools or the knowledge to teach people what's really going on all around them in the specific ecosystem where they live. To that end, the Ottawa County Park staff have collected local resources and created unique events that they host at Hemlock Crossing or bring to local schools or libraries. I'm now going to give you a brief tour and overview of what they have to offer. The main area of the Nature Center contains a number of interactive exhibits that help visitors, especially children, learn more about the natural features of the area, including hands-on elements such as this display of bird feathers. This display used the classic Dr. Seuss book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, to teach a lesson about invasive species. They explained how many Christmas decorations contain live plant material that is not native to our region. These plants may contain insects or other pests that could cause problems if they are released into the wild. This display informs children and their parents how to carefully dispose of these materials instead of putting them in your yard waste or leaving them outside. Librarians could create similar displays based on books in their own collections. They also have a large display of stuffed birds, pelts, and animal skulls that children can touch and hold. These sorts of materials would be difficult or impossible for librarians to obtain on their own, so it's great to have a partner like the parks who can share them with us. The Nature Center has a large classroom for field trip visits, but George explained that many of the items and lessons can be brought to somewhere like the library. While he appreciates the school trips, George said that the same teachers and schools tend to visit the Nature Center each year, so many kids in our county don't have the opportunity to participate. By holding classes at a library, They can reach a much wider spectrum of community members than they would if they stayed inside their own building. Volunteering is another way that community members can get involved with their local parks. I don't think that many kids would be interested in something that looks like yard work, but it's actually a very successful program for kids. They teach a brief class on invasive species and how damaging they can be to the local environment. They then spend some time pulling invasive weeds or planting native specimens. George said that one sixth grade class had been working on this project for several years now. It's another great example of how kids aren't just learning about nature, they're interacting with and making a real impact on their local environment. Story walks are another great way for parks to partner with libraries. The librarians create and post the stories, while the park serves as the host and site for further exploration and interaction. The story adds a thoughtful element to a walk through the park, and the natural setting enhances and adds depth to the book. It's another example of the synergy between libraries and their local parks. Like any nonprofit organization, raising awareness is necessary for the Ottawa County Park system. George told me that many residents don't really understand the difference between city, county, and state parks and how everyone's tax dollars support the work that various agencies do. Wearing their trademark blue shirts, they often wander the trails and parks looking for visitors who have questions about their operations. This sounded very similar to the conversations I have every day with people who don't know where or how they can get a library card or why a card works in one location but not the other. Both organizations sponsor booths at local festivals or other events to boost their profile within the community. So we're happy to work together to cross promote our efforts and raise awareness of what we do. There are two main takeaways for me from this project. One, as I've mentioned before, is the importance of making children's nature programming local. Kids need to learn about plants, animals, and the world around them, but they also need to understand their place within it, how they affect the environment and can make a difference in the ecology of their local community. Secondly, as our readings in this class have indicated, librarians who want to create robust community partnerships need to take a deep dive into all the organizations in their area and all the ways they might be able to forge useful connections. I thought I was pretty familiar with the Ottawa County Parks, but this interview showed me another side of their mission and their outreach, one that could be very beneficial for children who want to visit our library or attend our programs. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you found it helpful.